So they'll be calling you a radical. I'll do more of this up at the arena. Got to get rid of my Wizards Dillon Jones jersey. So I think this is the best case scenario that possibly could have happened to Dillon. So, as you know, I sit on the front row the whole time. Dillon was at Weber State, and I've known Dillon since he was a freshman really well. And so his senior year, all the NBA scouts up. Sit right with me. I mean, all of them lined up. All of them. Every team. I mean, and the one scout that would stay there, I mean, a lot of these scouts would leave these games early. The one scout that was most interested in Dillon Jones, and I used to visit with him, and he would stay till these games were over, was the LAKER scout. Now, as you know, I called Dillon Magic Jones, and I always felt like he'd be a point guard in the NBA, and he should be a point guard. Now, you know, the Wizards traded up to get him. You know, the Knicks looked like it was going to grab him, and then the Wizards, that whole trade ended up with OKC, the best team in the NBA. So he didn't get much playing time. I mean, you can't evaluate his play. I mean, it was just pure scrub time. It doesn't mean shit. He got an NBA ring, and he got the NBA bonus. The NBA title bonus is nearly $1 million. Now, Dillon Jones is a first-round draft pick, so that money is guaranteed. So, up to a certain level. So he signed a 4-year deal for, I believe, around $14 million with OKC over 4 years. But I believe, I'm pretty sure on this, that he was guaranteed 5.3. Guaranteed. That's part of the deal with a first-round pick. Now, it was broke up in 2 years. So 2.7 paid last year. And remember, he got $1 million bonus nearly for when he's got an NBA ring. So, under the deal, so they trade him to the Wizards. Now, the Wizards are pitiful. Come on, let's get real. The Wizards have been rebuilding since Dick Motta coached there. Weber State, Dick Motta, Weber State. That's right. The Wizards have been rebuilding since 1979. I mean, for real. It's a pitiful fucking franchise who makes horrible player personnel decisions for decades. That's unarguable. So, I'm so glad he got out of there, you know. Get rid of my Wizards jersey. You know, I got my framed, signed, autographed Dillon Jones OKC, which is very cool because he's got an NBA title. So, I've always called him Dillon Magic Jones. And I've told him to his face lots of times that I felt like that he was going to end up with the Lakers. And he'd say, why, Kev? I'll tell you why. Because who was the team the year before his junior year that wanted him? The team that was really, really interested in him. The Celtics. The Celtics wanted him back. And I'm like, well, Lakers are going to jump in front. So the Wizards waived him, which I think it's the best thing that ever happened to Dillon Jones. You know, he got this big chunk of money, he's got an NBA ring, and he's going to get a place. So, he is well, he's wide open. They waived him, the Wizards. And so, he's eligible for this G League draft. So, he was the #1 pick in the G League draft. #1. By who? The Lakers. Now, again, I sat on the front row, and I know Dillon personally. I sat with all those scouts. I visited with tons of them. And I know the scout that liked him the very best of all of them that was there was that Laker scout. Now, lots of these scouts the Jazz would send up 2 scouts, but the Jazz 2 scouts were, well, I don't want to say it, but not too bright. Not the sharpest tools in the shed. And so, but anyway, the one scout that would stay to the end of the game, a lot of them would leave, almost all of them leave early, was a Laker scout. And I visited with him, and he says, oh, I love Dillon Jones. And I told him what. I says, well, I believe Dillon Jones is a point guard. He's a natural-born point guard. He's got that high dribble like Magic. I says, I call him Dillon Magic Jones. That's what I called him. And I used to tell Dillon all the time, I think you're going to end up in Los Angeles. And I think it's a perfect spot for him right now. I don't think it could have been worked out better for Dillon. is because the Lakers are getting ready for, they're going to have to reboot. But it's the Lakers. The historic franchise. And by the way, who's the greatest Laker ever? Kobe? No, he's way up there. Way up there, but it's Jerry West. Without Jerry West, there is no Kobe Bryant. I mean, Kobe Bryant bucked the system big time, didn't he? He was 18 years old. You say, well, you think I'm not smart enough to go in? It was against the so-called law for the NBA to draft an 18-year-old. He's like, I know the law. I mean, I'm educated. What do you think but that was Jerry West that orchestrated that trade and bucked against the NBA and says, no, Kobe's right. So, it's the Lakers. Now, of course, Jerry Buss sold them. His daughter sold them this year. So it's a very different ownership, but they're still the Lakers. And so he's the number 1 pick in the G League. I still say, I call him Dillon Magic Jones. I'm so glad that it didn't end up here. I mean, and we know, come on, Wizards waving. Wizards wave player personnel choices have been, well, the worst in all of sport. Like I said, they've been rebuilding since Dick Motta was there. Dick Motta, we were staying with, what? They've been rebuilding since 1978-79, the Wizards. I mean, so glad he got out of there. So, he's a Laker. And he's in a perfect position, I think, in a really perfect position. I go back to it wasn't called the G League then, who was my favorite Jazz player of all time. Ricky Green, who's one of the most underrated players in the history of basketball. And he was playing in what was the G League then. It wasn't called the G League. And I remember when Frank Layden was smart enough to bring him here. You know how good he was? Without Ricky Green, there is no John Stockton. Jock Stockton played behind Ricky Green for a couple years. Ricky Green was that good, dude. And John Stockton, I think, learned a lot from him. And it was one of the best moves the Jazz ever made, was me and him off the so-called minor league. But Dillon Jones is an NBA first rounder, rightfully so. And come on, and I want to say this too. I went to all the summer leagues, and I remember me and Kev, and we were talking, and I'm like, how good does AJ Mitchell look? Honestly, how good does he look? AJ Mitchell, their 2nd round pick. He looks so fantastic. So did Scottie Pippen Jr., by the way, but so did Dillon Jones. But AJ Mitchell, he's found his niche with OKC. Excellent player. And so I'm really thrilled to see what he's doing. We called it out of the summer league, and so I'm always on this first. I told Dillon many times I thought he was going to end up as a Laker in LA. And he's like, what? And I says, well, you remind me of Magic Johnson. He really does remind me of Magic Johnson in a lot of ways. The way his size, his high rebound, really a big point guard that knows how to rebound, knows how to position, knows how to fight at the rim, knows how to pass. Magic Johnson didn't have a 3-point shot. Anybody that says he does is freaking insane. Magic Johnson did not have a 3. Well, he never even tried to shoot 3-pointers. Never shot no 3-pointers. All he did was make great passes, rebound, do what he had to do, and win championships. I mean, winning matters, and so I'm thrilled that, as you know, I called him Dillon Magic Jones at Weber State. He reminds me a lot of Magic Johnson. I think this is the best thing that ever happened to Dillon. And his 2.7, well, I think the Wizards are going to have to eat it. They were. But I think now, and I'm not sure if the Lakers will have to pay the 2.7 million, but I believe it's going to be the Wizards that are on the hook for it, because they completely waived him, and I think the Lakers are smart enough to draft him into the G League. Now, if the Lakers move him on to LA, into the roster, will they have to pay the 2.7? I believe so. But I honestly believe that Dillon he'll move up, I think he'll go back and forth from the G League to LA. And I think they're smart enough. I think the Lakers are smart enough to use him as a point guard. He's a point guard, and I've always said that. Dillon Magic Jones. So I'm very thrilled about this. I think it's worked out so beautifully for Dillon. You know, he got the first round contract. He got an NBA ring. He got an NBA championship supplement check. So he's got a lot of money. And in the long run, he ends up with one of the two great franchises in all of sport. And you think the Lakers will be down for a long time. They won't. They won't. And we just know how franchises are. It's like the Jazz. Certain franchises can't win. The Clippers. It ain't hip to clip. There's certain franchises that cannot win. And there's certain franchises that can, which, I mean, we could dive into that deeply. What's the most valuable franchise sport? Oh, the Cowboys? Oh, my God. I won in 30 years. But the NBA, winning matters. Thrilled for Dillon. Dillon Magic Jones to the Lakers.